Moments of Inclusion Part 1. This activity addresses unintentional barriers created by service providers and organizations that hinder participation, especially for vulnerable groups. Our aim is to raise awareness about these barriers and explore opportunities for inclusion. That's why this activity is called Moments of Inclusion. By examining 14 different categories in this session, participants will reflect on their communication, accessibility, information provision, and the timing, location, and methods of their operation. Our objectives are to educate workers from organizations, institutions, and service providers like businesses or municipalities to regularly reflect on their practices across various categories that influence inclusivity. This reflection will help them develop practical strategies to make their services more accessible and inclusive for diverse and vulnerable groups. What you'll need for this session are flip charts and markers. Especially important are the handouts detailing the 14 categories, giving definitions and discussion prompts. Let's break down the steps of this activity. First, you will start with an introduction and explanation. Welcome the participants and explain the purpose of the session. After that, highlight the importance of self-reflection, holistic thinking, and reducing barriers for minorities and vulnerable groups to benefit from the services we provide as organizations. After that, introduce and explain each of the 14 categories that influence inclusivity, such as target group, time, communication, representation, and more. You will find more information about that in the curriculum and its resources. After that, a group activity follows. Split participants into small groups. Optimal are teams of 2 or 3, each discussing 1 or 2 of the categories. Assign each group 1 or more categories to discuss, and each group develops self-reflective questions to ensure inclusivity in their respective categories. They should reflect on their experiences and emphasize with their target groups. As a facilitator, provide discussion prompts and clarify any definitions. Have groups write their findings on post-it notes, a whiteboard, or a flip chart. After that follows the presentation of findings and learnings. Each group presents their findings and questions that they developed, followed by a group discussion. Limit the discussion to 5 minutes per category. The end of the session is the collection and the compilation of the questions developed by the groups. Encourage participants to use these questions for future self-reflection on their inclusivity practices. By the end of this session, participants will have enhanced awareness of barriers to participation and access, improved self-reflection skills concerning inclusive practices, and a deeper understanding of how to make their services more accessible and inclusive. These outcomes can be verified through regular use and reflection on the developed questions. As a facilitator of the session, it is important that you provide the findings afterwards to the participants of the session, so they can use the questions developed in their contexts and their organizations. Remember, inclusion starts with self-reflection and a commitment to continuous improvement.